October 13, 1884. On this date, one of the most important events in the world history took place, the International Meridian Conference. It was here that the world agreed to a single prime meridian, setting the standard for global timekeeping. But what exactly happened there? Why was this conference needed? In this video, we'll take you through the story of the International Meridian Conference, the problems that led to its creation, and some interesting facts about time zones. Oh, and just like we agreed on the global time system, how about we agree that you will hit that subscribe button? Done? Thank you. That really helps the channel to grow. Let's go back in time to the 19th century. By then, countries around the world were growing more connected. Ships were traveling across oceans and railroads were spreading. But there was one big problem: time. Before the conference, every city set its own time based on when the sun was directly overhead. This meant that every town had its own local time. For example, noon in London wasn't the same as noon in Paris, New York, or Tokyo. It might sound fine, but it created a lot of confusion, especially for travel and communication. Railroads couldn't work with so many different times. Imagine trying to schedule trains when every city had a different time. It was chaos. The same thing happened with ships trying to cross the seas, relying on accurate time for navigation. Without a standard time, travel and trade became incredibly difficult. This is why the world needed a solution. In 1884, 41 delegates from 25 countries came together in Washington, D.C. for the International Meridian Conference. Their goal? To solve this problem by choosing a single point from which all time would be measured. So, how did they choose the Prime Meridian? The Prime Meridian is the imaginary line that runs from North Pole to the South Pole, dividing the Earth into the eastern and western hemispheres. It's also the line from which we measure all time, 0 degrees longitude. But where should it be? At the conference, after much debate, Greenwich, England was chosen as the location for the Prime Meridian. Why? Well, it wasn't just random. At that time, Britain had the most powerful navy and the largest empire in the world. Most of the world's sea charts and maps already used Greenwich as the reference point. So it made sense for the world to adopt Greenwich as a central point for timekeeping. And that's how Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT, was born. Once Greenwich was chosen, the world finally had a central time zone. Countries began to set their time based on how far east or west they were from Greenwich. Every 15 degrees of longitude equals 1 hour of difference. This system allowed for a much smoother, coordinated global system of time. Now, trains could run on time, no matter where they traveled. Ships could navigate with more accuracy. International communication became much easier. The world finally had a standard that everyone could follow, and it was a game changer. But here is something interesting. Not every country agreed with the system right away. In fact, France, which had its own meridian in Paris, didn't officially accept the Greenwich Meridian until 1911, almost 30 years later. And here is another fun fact. Some countries use half-hour time zones. For example, India and Iran are 30 minutes ahead or behind their neighboring countries. This can sometimes make things a little tricky, but it's a reminder that time zones, even today, aren't perfect. Also, did you know that not every place follows daylight saving time? While many countries change their clocks twice a year to make better use of daylight, places like Japan and China stick to the same time all year round. Finally, one of the strangest things about time zones is the International Date Line. Located in the Pacific Ocean, this invisible line marks where one day ends and another begins. Cross it going west and you move into the next day. Cross it going east and you go back in time. It's like time travel, but real. The International Meridian Conference not only established the Prime Meridian at Greenwich, but also sparked a global movement toward standardized timekeeping. After the conference, countries began to adopt time zones based on their position relative to Greenwich Mean Time. The change was not instantaneous. It took time for nations to agree on their own time standards. As global communication and travel continued to grow, the concept of time zones evolved further. Another interesting development was the adoption of Coordinated Universal Time, UTC, in the mid-20th century. Unlike GMT, which was based purely on the Earth rotation, UTC takes into account atomic time to ensure even greater accuracy. This adjustment was necessary because the Earth rotation can fluctuate slightly, causing inconsistencies. By combining atomic time with astronomical time, UTC became the more precise standard for global timekeeping. Moreover, with the rise of technology, we now have tools that allow us to keep track of time zones easily. With just a click, we can see what time it is in cities around the world. This makes it easier to coordinate meetings, plan travel, and communicate across borders, showcasing how far we have come since that pivotal conference in 1884. Here you go, the fascinating story of the International Meridian Conference and how the world agreed on a single Prime Meridian. It might seem like a small decision, but it had a huge impact on how we live today. From scheduling trains to navigating ships or even organizing international events, the decision made on that day still shapes our world. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe for more educational content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.